During the Ubisoft financial meeting, we learned about one big Ubisoft game that got delayed. There is a new game coming at E3 that is going to hit soon, and also the Division 2 news. But what does this all mean for Assassin's Creed and Far Cry 5? So let's get into it in this video. If you enjoyed that, then a like would be super appreciated, and let's go. So every year around this time, Ubisoft is doing their financial meeting, looking at the previous year, but also ahead. And that is what I want to start with. So what can we expect from now till April 2019? So first, a big one, they delayed Skull and Bones, the ship combat game, to a time between April 2019 and March 2020. My bet would be a release in June right now, but nothing is confirmed at this point. They needed more development time and that's why they moved it. So that leaves us with 3 games before April 2019 that they combined expect to sell 19 million units of. We got The Crew 2, that is actually launching pretty soon on June 29th. Then it was also confirmed that The Division 2 will launch before April 2019. So I first thought that this would launch like later, but no, we can expect it before April 2019. I think early 2019, just like the first game also launched in the early part of the year. So if they released in March, it will go head to head with Anthem, of course, the new game from Bioware, also the same type of multiplayer game. So that will be interesting to watch for sure. Ubisoft also noted that they will have a ton of content at launch and want to release new stuff rather soon after launch as well. They learned a lot from the original, for example, that people really went through the game fast, so they had nothing to do at the end game, so they want to fix that with the Division 2. It was also noted that the recent update 1.8 can be an indication of what we can expect from the end game from the Division 2 as well. And if you're not familiar, update 1.8 was really well received, so not really weird that they take a lot of cues from that. So then we have The Crew 2 and the Division 2 and one unannounced game that will be announced at E3, and that starts at June 10th. So no reveal before that, and I really am leaning towards this either being a new Splinter Cell game or Assassin's Creed. And we of course got the Walmart leak where they put up a ton of games that are probably going to be at E3, and the marketing VP from Bethesda kinda confirmed that this was indeed real, because for Rage 2 they first wanted to start teasing the game on Friday but then adapted because it got leaked early. And again, as noted in my other videos as well, no way Walmart could have guessed that Rage 2 was coming. Nobody could have guessed that. And by the way, funny, this Walmart leak was also touched on during the investors call from Ubisoft, but they simply said we do not comment on any rumors. But yeah, I would say that Walmart leak is legit and it does not note Watch Dogs 3. I know some may think that that game is still in the cards for Ubisoft, but I think they will like develop that even more and maybe announce it next year, because I also watched a video from Ubi Central, I put a link in the description down below, where he made an interesting point that you have these Ubisoft star players that Ubisoft invites to their press conference at E3. They also give them some sort of special treatment. Well, there is someone from the Assassin's Creed community invited as a star player, but nobody is representing the Watch Dogs community this year. And they also had star players, for example, at Gamescom 2016, and there we had someone from the Watch Dogs community, and that was of course because Watch Dogs 2 was playable. So I think Ubi Central makes a good point there. He also notes that there's nobody invited from the Splinter Cell community, but that is not really weird because there hasn't been a new Splinter Cell game in a while. So going back to these 19 million units, so 3 games, the Division 2, the Crew 2 and its unannounced game, should sell 19 million units before April 2019, and I think the Division 2 will likely take the most of that. I mean, the first game sold 3.5 million units at retail in the first week on the market, being the biggest launch for a Ubisoft game ever. So maybe 5 million in the first week if you count digital as well. So let's say the Division 2 is good for 9 million units if it indeed releases in March. So then it can only be a few weeks on the market before it has to reach that goal. Then we got 10 million units left for the Crew 2 and that other game, and I think 4 million is reasonable for the Crew 2. The first one did around 3 million, like at the end of its lifetime, if my research is correct. So they got 6 million left for that other game. So yeah, 6 million for a Splinter Cell game. I don't know, Blacklist only achieved 2 million after 3 months on the market. And I'm sure this new one will sell better, but 6 million? And also, do you want to release this game in the fall? Watch Dogs 2, Assassin's Creed Origins, Ubisoft always has a game in the fall. Or will they skip a fall game this year because they note in their investors call as well that it's more competitive than ever? And then we can of course look at Red Dead Redemption 2 launching on October 26th. That's the big elephant in the room, of course. So maybe they want to skip a holiday release altogether. It's getting pretty crowded. You don't want to launch after Red Dead Redemption 2, and before that we got like Call of Duty, maybe a new Battlefield game, so a ton of stuff going on. But if you then release early 2019, is 6 million achievable for this new Splinter Cell game when it's only like a few months on the market before April 2019? I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, but as I noted in my recent Assassin's Creed videos, a new announcement for a new Assassin's Creed game is just totally possible at this year's E3. So of course, on top of the comics from Origins stopping before E3, the support for Origins, the game stopping as well, but I also think there are too many rumors going on that a new Splinter Cell game is coming, so I totally believe that that is in the works as well, and we might see that at E3 as well, and that this might be that unannounced game that will release before April. And then it makes sense that they want to keep that a secret because of course that series is then coming back. That's a huge announcement. And last year with Assassin's Creed, they said during their investors call, yes, a new Assassin's Creed game is coming, and that was before Origins was announced, because that of course happened at the E3 following that. I hope you can follow it still, but a lot of interesting stuff is going on. I'm just really curious to hear your thoughts, so totally let me know in the comments down below. We also got some interesting facts to round out this video. For example, that Assassin's Creed Origins was the best performing Assassin's Creed game in the final quarter of the fiscal year, so the first quarter of 2018. They also noted that they were really happy with the quality of the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC. Well, me too. And that we can expect the same quality moving forward in terms of other post-launch content plans for their games. So that is really cool news, of course. Also regarding Far Cry 5, like more than expected sales for the Season Pass, and that they also have a strong post-launch content plan for that game in mind. So that is really good stuff. I think this like confirms the New Game Plus mode and stuff like that. So they want to keep people invested in the game, and that's of course one way to do it. Also, one big thing they noted is that from now till the end of the fiscal year, so in this fiscal year, so before April 2019, they want to make sure that the post-launch content plan lasts longer for their games and is even stronger. And after hearing this, it's even more puzzling that it seems like they stopped the support for Origins right now if they do not have something new planned for the game soon. I mean, we'll have the answers soon as well, because E3 is really close. As you probably know, I will be going, so June 10th is when everything will happen. So totally keep an eye out on the channel for all the coverage of the big games you care about. Totally subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like to support the channel. Check out my recent video on 6 big unannounced games we will likely see at the show. And I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.